Welcome everyone to the Car and Bike Show. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Partnkar. Last week I was in a very sunny part of the world and now I'm in a freezing cold part. Well, at least the sun's out here as well. This is Bavaria in Germany. I'm in Ingolstadt, the headquarters for Audi AG, and this is a place where I have been with you on the show many times before. In fact, it's nice to be back here at the Audi Forum, which is where everything Audi happens, from manufacturing to marketing to all the new designs. It all happens right here. And there's also a lot of innovation because you have cars like the e-tron family that are also coming to light. And with me right now, the Q4 e-tron. Yes, you've never seen this one and we don't have it in India yet. So today you get your first exclusive glimpse of this car right here on the show. I'll have a little bit more of this for you as we go, but let's take a look at our top story. The compact sedan segment in India has been finally waking up to some nice action, and you got lots of new players. So how does it stack up? Which one's best? Let's find out.
The compact sedan space has time and again held its own despite the shifting preference for SUVs. The Honda City is hands down the undisputed king here, but the re-entry of the Europeans rekindles the battle for supremacy. We left Hyundai Verna and Maruti Suzuki Ciaz out since both are due for an upgrade soon.
The Volkswagen Virtus and the Skoda Slavia add a breath of fresh air in the compact sedan segment that has been dominated by the Honda City for more than 2 decades now. All three cars look stylish, are practical and come loaded to the brim with features. But the million-dollar question is, should you buy either one of these when SUVs are the flavor of town? Hi, my name is Pratik Rakshit and today I'm going to help you decide which one of these should be your next addition to the garage.
All three cars look spectacular. The Virtus has the whole Jetta vibe going on for it, and we are glad that the car preserves the VW charm gracefully. The Slavia is basically a baby Octavia with crystalline elements along with the butterfly grille at the front. And what can we say about the City? It has the most quintessential 3-box design. The RS-inspired elements to the hybrid City add a whole new character. The City also benefits from LED setup for both its headlamps and fog lamps, while the other two profit from a projector setup. All three sit on 16-inch wheels with a unique design for the alloys. There's not much to separate these cars in the way they all look, but it's clearer on paper. The Virtus is the longest in the segment. In terms of width and height, the Slavia is at par with the Virtus, as both get an edge over the City. City also loses out on wheelbase by a healthy 51mm. Inside, it's the intricate details that separate the three.
Now, if you are craving for performance, then you have the Virtus and the Slavia both in turbocharged petrol engines, 2 petrol engines. If you are a cost-conscious buyer, then you have the Honda City, which is the most fuel efficient in the segment. Now, for the basis of this comparison, we have chosen the best-selling versions of the Europeans and the most fuel efficient version of the Japanese. So our test vehicles are the 1-litre TSI automatic versions of the Slavia and the Virtus and the EHEV of the Honda City. There's very little to separate the three cars when it comes to ride quality, because all the three cars drive over potholes quite effortlessly. But in terms of suspension setup, all three cars are on the firmer side, but it is the City that offers a harsher ride, especially for the rear passengers. In terms of NVH levels, all three cars are again equally stacked, but the Virtus has better damping than the other two cars, so it is more comfortable in the long run.
Both the cars are confident around corners as well. The slick gearbox has precise shifts, almost like a mind reader. The City has a much more relaxed drive with a fair bit of performance. It's no slouch, mind you, but don't expect the urgency as the hybrid motor takes time to gain momentum.
Now, fuel efficiency is an extremely crucial criteria when you speak of compact sedan segment, and during a time with all the three cars, the Slavia and the Virtus both returned efficiency of somewhere around 11 to 12 kmpl, while the Honda City EHEV has a claimed efficiency return of 26.5 kmpl, but during a time we've managed to take it somewhere around 16 to 17 kmpl, which is actually a very good thing with the City, because it is a strong hybrid after all, and of course it is one of the most fuel efficient cars in the country.
Safety is paramount for all three manufacturers, but there's little to doubt who has an advantage here. The City EHEV is the only car in the segment to offer a full set of ADAS functionalities. The Slavia and the Virtus are right up there. 6 airbags are standard across all three, along with the usual set of passive safety features. In terms of price, all three cars fall in the same range. The top spec versions of the Virtus and the Slavia are the most value for money, but the hybrid version is far superior in the long run. It is also the only one to offer diesel version in this shootout, in 3 manual trims that cost less than the Europeans, and is also a near perfect alternative for the cost conscious buyer.
To conclude, the Skoda Slavia and the Volkswagen Virtus are the perfect driver's car. Nothing comes when you are choosing these two cars. The 1-litre TSI automatic version is a hoot. It's fun to drive, it's engaging, and the cabin has one of the best features to offer. Want a car with driving chops? Then either of these two cars would make a lovely addition to your garage. For the cost-conscious buyer though, we have the Honda City EHEV. It is one of the most safest and the most sensible buy. The strong hybrid powertrain, smart cabin and performance that is at par with the Europeans, the Honda City EHEV is a well-rounded package.
So this one is the Q4 e-tron 50. There are different versions and variants of the car, and this one's the dual motor, so it's a quattro model. At the back, you see the styling is pretty distinct, and you do have the sportback version of this car as well. It's similar in proportion and overall size, but of course has the coupe roofline. Now, the model itself does actually stack up right between the Q3 and the Q5 in terms of size and positioning, though of course this one is all electric. With that, let's take a very short break here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the front styling. When I come back, please keep watching.
The
And welcome back to C&B. The S-Line badge on this car tells you that this is the sportier trim, and so it looks a little bit different. You can get, of course, a lot of customization on it. Now, 3 different wheel sizes, 19, 20 and 21 inch wheels. These are the 19 inches. It looks great with 21, but winter tires, important in this season. I have been driving this car around and I can tell you that's come in pretty handy. Now, in the front is where you see a very distinct look of the car. It has the e-tron badge. It also has a closed-off grille. I mean, you don't even want to call it a grille anymore because you don't really need one in an electric car. So it's closed off. The 4 rings also closed off. You don't really have any kind of gaps there, and that's a very distinct look that the car has. It is also very instantly recognizable then as the Q4. All right, time for a bike review on the show now. It is the Moto Morini X-Cape. King Shuk rode it and has the review.
The Moto Morini X-Cape is one of those motorcycles which grows on you more with time. My colleague Preetham rode it a few months ago in a closed, regulated off-road environment, and he was impressed by it. But this time around, we spent a little more time with the motorcycle. Moto Morini is a new and a relatively lesser known motorcycle brand in India. The X-Cape, the motorcycle that you see here, is one of the 2 motorcycles on sale from the brand in India, the other one being the Semezzo Scrambler. The X-Cape 650, as you can see, it's a nice tall motorcycle, has lots of road presence, and this new red passion color, it stands out not only on the road but among other ADVs as well. Let's get to know this motorcycle a little better. The X-Cape 650 is a tall motorcycle and the seat height is at about 835 millimeters, which is quite tall. So new riders, new ADV riders or people who are upgrading from regular motorcycles will find this bike a little daunting. But having said that, the height disappears on the move. Plus, if we talk about the stand-up riding position, let me show you. If we talk about the stand-up riding position, it is very, very comfortable and feels natural. The handlebars are nice and wide and you get a good sense of balance. With that said, the motorcycle feels really, really alive. So let's go and ride this motorcycle. The X-Cape 650 gets a 649cc parallel twin engine that is liquid cooled and makes 59 brake horsepower at 8250 RPM along with 54 Newton meters of peak torque at 7000 RPM. It may not make for fancy reading, but the motorcycle is bristling with power, and while the bottom end isn't exactly serving up dollops of pulling power, the mid-range and the top end more than make up for it. The way the motorcycle builds up speed after 3000 RPM is very impressive. And no matter what the spec sheet says, the power and torque on tap is more than enough for regular use and then some more. What could have been slightly better is the gear shifts. Right now, it feels a little clunky and it is not so smooth. On tarmac, the motorcycle handles smoothly and it can be hustled on traffic-laden roads and around a corner too. Tipping in the motorcycle is easy and feels neutral despite its heavy curb weight of 235 kg. And while the dual sport tires from Pirelli work very well off-road, the grip could be a touch better on tarmac. It is not a deal breaker though. The brakes though are a bit spongy and we found the ABS to be a bit too intrusive for our liking. What could also be a bit of a bother is the fact that the suspension, while it is adjustable, is really stiff in its factory settings. But a little bit of tinkering could help you get better results. We suggest you work the suspension settings a bit and find out what works best for you, especially when going off-road. The Moto Morini X-Cape 650 loves it when you mix things up. It is a surprisingly good motorcycle when going off-road. Despite its weight, it is easy to manage on surfaces with loose traction. The slim profile on the tall seat makes it easier for riders to put their feet down. And it is also easier to slide back and forth on the seat. The grip from Pirelli Dual Sport STR tires is quite nice and makes the motorcycle forgiving even if you overcook the throttle. Throw a nicely dialed in suspension and off-road ABS in the mix and you get a middleweight motorcycle that is actually quite capable and, more importantly, enjoyable. Take the motorcycle on a sandy trail, and to keep the power flowing, you need a few extra revs. And you need to be very generous with the throttle while going over the rough stuff. Keep the throttle going and the motorcycle will follow through. The balance and stability of the X-Cape 650 is on point as well. The X-Cape 650 gets a decent list of features. The 7-inch TFT color display is probably the best in the segment and has good animation too. It gets Bluetooth connectivity and tire pressure monitoring system as standard as well. In terms of electronics, the only feature it gets is off-road ABS, which disengages ABS on the rear wheel. Having said that, the product itself, the Moto Morini X-Cape 650X, is tough, packs in decent performance and practicality, and can take a beating too. In terms of sheer off-road capability, it might just outrank the Suzuki V-Strom 650 XT. Yes, it is that good. At a price of 7,50,000 rupees ex-showroom, the motorcycle is decently priced too. If you are in the market and you are looking to buy a 650cc off-road oriented touring machine, then the Moto Morini X-Cape 650X is your best bet right now.
It's a very well appointed cabin and it gets you all the latest when it comes to the gadgetry that you expect in an Audi, right from the wireless charging to the wireless connectivity. You have it all, and a huge touchscreen as well. The surprising thing, and this is what really blew me away when I was told this by the Q4 e-tron team here in Ingolstadt. The legroom that you're seeing here, the staggering legroom for such a compact SUV, is the same as the rear legroom that the passenger in the second row seat gets in a Q7. That is surprising, and I have to say it's a nice startling fact, and it's a good key takeaway on the Q4. Now, I hope you liked the first little exclusive glimpse of this new model, and we hope, of course, that it launches in India very soon. We'll have some details on that for you very quickly as well. In the meanwhile, please react to everything you've seen. Please wear your seatbelts. Please wear your helmets, and join me next week. Bye-bye.